Hi. Hope you're doing good. So it's like 3 a.m. here, and I'm definitely in a mood, like a very specific mood. It's not a mood that I could explain to you, but it's definitely a very specific one. Maybe you're feeling a lot right now. Maybe you're feeling so much that No, it's not that you feel so much that you feel nothing and go numb. It's more like you're feeling everything at once. Now the movie Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is coming through. I can't remember exactly the plot of that movie, but she can time travel, or she goes through I remember I really liked that movie. Maybe I should watch it again. It has like a fantasy element to it where she can almost go through these portals and change time. I don't know, communicate, express herself in a new way and change things. So heal things, close out old cycles, which I guess is like kind of what we can do in terms of like quantum physics and stuff like that, if we want to get super spiritual about it. But ultimately, I just feel like you guys are, time and space might feel kind of trippy to you because you are experiencing, it's almost like an overload. But it feels interesting though, because everything is very in focus. It's not like a confusion. It's strange because I feel very at peace or calm. Maybe at peace isn't, like my body is calm. It's like I can see clearly. It's not about everything's changing, I'm fearful, and there's so much unknown here. It's more like everything is coming up to the surface at once and I'm witnessing it, eyes wide open, third eye wide open, everything wide open. So I don't know, because the topic of this reading is when the self-doubt, criticism, and judgment are loud. And we're going to look at what your inner critic is really trying to protect, what you've forgotten about yourself, how you can create inner safety and self-belonging. And then the version of you who doesn't believe these lies, and where you're being invited to soften or surrender into that version of yourself, because you deserve to be kind to yourself. You deserve love. And it's really hard to receive love from anywhere else, no matter how bad you want it, if you don't know how to give it to yourself, if you're not comfortable with that. And in order to do that effectively, you kind of have to see yourself. You can't hate yourself into a better version of yourself. Let me put it that way. So maybe that's what this is tied to. Maybe you're looking at everything very clearly. It's bringing up a lot of feelings. That's what this feels like. It almost feels like right now you're being forced to really be. It's like now's the time. If you've avoided anything, if you've repressed anything, if you've been hiding behind shitting on yourself, criticizing yourself, cutting yourself down, as a means of escaping and not stepping into your own fucking power, which you know you're more than capable of doing, right? Like we do this. I think it's pretty natural for us to be a little bit afraid of our own power, or a little bit afraid of our most sovereign and loving and truly autonomous selves. But it's that self that actually does feel safe enough to be intimate, truly intimate with others, and to accept love. So let's get into the reading, because there's a lot coming through, and it's really interesting energy. I haven't seen any of the cards, but I pulled them already. And we're just going to work our way through, as we do, with some oracle cards, some tarot, to clarify as we go, etc. Okay? Thanks for being here, by the way. I appreciate you. And I'm Lisa, if you're new. Hi. Okay. Let's start. So we're going to start with what your inner critic is really trying to protect. So what fear, wound, or just a space you feel vulnerable is underneath the harshness, because there's a hidden motive of the inner critic, right? And it's often rooted in protection, not truth. So it's like you could see the inner critic as your ego in some ways, because as much as the ego tries to build us up to protect us, it can also do this weird thing where it like acts like it's protecting you, but it's really making you small, or you're making yourself small. And some of that can include really harsh or even abusive self-talk. And okay, that was a fail of a shuffle. So let's see what the hidden motive here is of this voice and what it is trying to protect. Okay, so it's this one. The Sword and Temperance. There's two things that you can hold at once, and they're quite different. But they're both incredibly powerful. But what is the wound, the fear, the wound, or the vulnerability that you can't be both of these things at once? Your inner critic tells you that you are a harsh person, that you're not loving, that you're cold and hard, and that you let something drain out of your life, or you let your heart harden, and you feel as though your inner critic tells you that that part of you is lost, that there is no more color or light or warmth or something like that. That something hardened you or made you into a monster or a bad person or someone that you... It's like you're telling me that there is a harshness about you, though there is an actual critical nature about you now that's very, slices through things, is very black and white, but can also be very, like, can sever things, can be very harsh. But what this is trying to protect, I feel like, is that you hold you hold the whole prism, the whole spectrum within you. And there is a peace and a harmony and a balance to that. There's like a dance that you do with yourself to that, to maintain this inner state of temperance and harmony. And it's really just about moderation, everything in moderation. The shadow exists in all of us, the monster, you know, the demon, the cold-hearted, whatever. The unconscious, the part of us that doesn't want to hurt other people, but we do because we're not seeing ourselves clearly, or because we can just be fucking selfish sometimes. And that's just what it is. Everyone can be selfish sometimes, you know? But it doesn't mean that you lost the goodness in you, or that you can't still bring that part to the forefront. There just needs to be balance. This is Sagittarian energy. I want to see what the sword says in the book. I know that it talks about it being a tool or a weapon, something that you can use to empower or hurt, but I don't remember exactly, and I feel like there might be something important there, so 1 second. Okay, okay, the sword, the knife, the blade, the weapon. Okay, right. Loons. Right? Luna has something to say. It's about decisions. I forgot that that's another very important part of this card, this archetype. To use the sword is to decide. The blade separates one reality from another. The choice is made and all else falls away. If you find the sword in your grasp, you can no longer hesitate. This weapon requires a clear and decisive mind and a willingness to act. An onlooker may think the sword bearer is hasty and violent, but the most compassionate and responsible gesture is one that is honest, swift, and accurate. Our first encounter with the sword is at birth, when the cord we share with the mother is cut. This moment defines our separation from her and begins our journey of becoming ourself. Excuse me, I don't know what's going on with my throat right now. I feel like there's something you haven't decided, or you haven't like clearly spoken your choice maybe, and something about that's important. Even if you're just speaking it to yourself, like deciding, it feels like your inner critic is protecting you from making a choice or seeing something clearly, like cutting to the truth of something. But it's interesting because the truth is you're very capable of being the master of yourself. You just have to see yourself clearly in order to do that and maintain this balance, maintain sort of this like running, refined order of things, because in these cups is like chaos. That this divine being is just pouring like water and fire and all of the elements from cup to cup, moderation, balancing between the two. For some of you as well, this is about co-regulating with another person. So there's something where your inner critic, like you're cutting yourself down because there's a fear of balance with someone else outside of yourself. So relationally, expanding this from just you to include somebody else in a really intimate kind of way. I think there's a truth that that is something that you deeply, deeply desire. And it's like a soul level desire. It's a very, very deep, really deep desire. It's like to be seen in all the small moments that make up, that make your life, you know? It's like we think the little moments are so insignificant, but those compiled is that's your life, you know? Who are you spending those moments with? How are you feeling? What are you saying to yourself? It's important. So there's something here though about seeing yourself almost as violent and something that can, it's like you see yourself as being honest and clear, but you can also hurt people. Like you're wielding this sword and sometimes you hurt people by accident. With it is almost what I feel. So your inner critic could be telling you like, it's better for everyone if you just stay away, or if you're on your own, if you just seek to master your own internal state of balance and harmony, but just like accept that the part of you that's capable of sharing that with someone else in an intimate way has died. But it's not true. It's still very much here. It's a part of you, and both of them coexist. And I think that it's this truth that is what your inner critic is trying to protect, which means that as much as you desire this, you deeply fear it. There's something about it that really makes you feel incredibly vulnerable. You might have very strong Scorpio energy because it's really giving that like the deep, deep desire to be seen and understood, and then versus like the absolute terror of being perceived by another person in those really intimate spaces, you know? And when you like, for instance, when you start building a relationship with someone or letting anyone in an intimate way, whether it's a friend, a family member, a colleague or a lover, a child or a spouse, I think sometimes we're scared of what people will see in us when we truly give them the chance, like when we open ourselves up in that way to just flow, to to have no strategy, to have no guards, to not be censoring yourself at all, to just be existing in someone's presence is definitely a huge form of intimacy. And this is coming through in a way as, yeah, co-regulating your emotions, your experience, your energy with somebody else. And it's something you're very capable of. But I think that there's an element of yourself that you're having a hard time loving, holding space for, integrating in a non-critical way. And I think that it's this shadow part of you. But the thing is that when you first start integrating this part of yourself, right, it's like that because it feels like you're doing something, like you are being a bad person. But really it's like you're just learning how to set boundaries. You're just learning what it feels like to actually have a backbone, some self-respect, like autonomy over your own life, you know. And sometimes liberating ourselves can bring out our shadow, but we need it to in those times. We need to have our ego in those times because that is what pushes us through and protects us. But it doesn't mean that we can't still balance ourselves back out or that that part is bad. It's a part of all of us. And it just means you're integrating it and learning to be empowered, learning to know which side of the sword to walk on in any given situation. That is temperance. This is not just a card of just peace. It's a card of creating that peace through actively keeping your balance. And it doesn't mean that there's no shadow. It doesn't mean that you don't dance with your own demons, but you do. It's just you choose the appropriate times to put them in the driver's seat. And yeah, you let somebody else see you in those places and you trust that they also have those places and you hold space for them. And that's what it is to be an imperfect human and still show up and still love and be loved. So it is something pretty deep that your ego or your critic, your inner critic here is trying to protect. It's coming through as like a core desire, like the kind of the thing that you long for most in this life. And you're here to experience it, and you're also terrified of it simultaneously. And that's not because it's not for you. It's because it is for you. And you know how much of your power, your personal power, is connected to it. So it's almost like when you get close to it in any way, it feels like a temperature rising or like the energy building, and it feels a little bit overwhelming. It feels like the energy I felt at the beginning, everything all at once. So you're strengthening this sword energy though, because you're learning to discern right now. I feel like you're learning to be more responsible with this tool that can also be a weapon. It says, decisions shape our life, and the sword is an infamous shaper of destiny. When light, cutting through to what is essential. When dark, hasty, backstabbing, a dull and painful blade. Contemplate the Buddhist philosophy of the first and second arrow. Swing the sword once with precision and commitment. More than that will be painful for everyone involved. Boundary making, prioritizing, and clarifying are all gestures made possible by the sword. The sword is a metaphor for the pen and the brush, the artist's fierce and graceful tools. Okay, the pen and the brush. So yeah, this can also be creative expression, bold creative expression, honest, unapologetic, like be your truth, you know, being at peace with your truth. That is also this. But then there's a balance that you need to strike there as well, right? Because you can stand in this, but not force it on somebody else. You can stand in this and still hold space for somebody else's truth, even if there are places where you don't overlap with it, right? Because you're probably never going to meet someone in life where like every single belief that you have is aligned. And you agree on absolutely everything, but it's actually that makes things interesting. You just have to not judge yourself so that you don't think that everyone else is judging you the way that you judge yourself. And then you actually allow yourself to be seen and to exist in a real, present, invested kind of way with someone. And in that way, you can actually let someone in, be seen, and not feel judged and vulnerable in that space. And maybe even someone sees more beauty in you than you remember or believe still exists within you. Maybe the right person sees and reminds you that not all is lost, and that the darkness is power once you learn how to work with it the right way. Is there anything else that we need to know about this? No. I think that there was a time, though, when you were not healed, and you're more confident now. There's something that you healed that wasn't, and this is recent, somewhat recent. It's a way of thinking. You were very in your head. You may be right on the brink of actually healing your inner critic in a very serious kind of way, or letting someone in. But there's a message here about you're protecting your peace, because it's taken you a lot to actually get here, or it takes you a lot to stay in this state. So you might have some sort of like propensity as well for not like going off the rails, but like you could be someone with an addictive personality, or you're very passionate or intense, right? Something like that. And so it's like you worry that you can't maintain this, or that someone won't accept those parts of you. The really deep and intense and dualistic, like, yeah. This is within all of us, though. But I totally do understand and relate to this fear and this desire, absolutely. I feel this is quite normal for humans. So what you've forgotten about yourself, what strength, truth, or maybe beauty have you lost sight of in the noise of the inner critic, as this voice has been kind of like loud or repetitive in your head? So this is a reminder card, what you need to remember when self-doubt tries to take over. I knew I felt Scorpio energy. Against nature. That feels very Scorpionic. With death. I'm definitely seeing what the book says about that. Sagittarius and Scorpio. To me, this is very Aquarian. Okay. I'll pull this up here so you can see these closer. All right. There's a part of you that is extremely expansive and powerful and wise. Understands that you don't have to control everything, and that isolating or keeping yourself and your process and your depths and your darkness even secret, as if it is like a dirty little secret, as if it's not something that everybody has their own version of, as if it's against nature, it's not natural, right? As if like there's an angelic and a demonic version of you, and the two are not meant to coexist, but they are. It's just that yours seem very pronounced. Like you're very aware of both. And for you, I feel the big part of your mastering yourself is to understand both sides, love and respect both sides, see the strengths and the what is not the forte of both, and when the usage of each, or the bringing forth of each, is optimal, but then also how to keep both in check, because there's things to both of these that as well, if they're not in moderation, then Again, they have to be in balance. But there's an element of you that is incredibly self-renewing. You can come back from any injustice. You can come back from any wound. You can come back from any apathetic, hardened, disappointed space. You can still choose to see yourself clearly through any fog and look forwards and see the truth. You know, there's something here about the truth not being scary. Like, you're not actually afraid of truth. You actually thrive on that. But yours is a deeply emotional and spiritual. It has a lot to do. Yeah, your truth comes from you witnessing the depths of your own emotion in a very, very intimate way. And that it like changes you. It's constantly changing you, how deeply you feel things. And it shapes the way you see the world. It shapes the way you move in the world. And I think this is so beautiful. This is sexy as hell too. Like, this is so... Feel free to put a ring on it, okay? Like, just call me up whenever you want. I want to see what this says. This is so beautiful, though, because this is the acceptance of humanness, really. I mean, like, we all are human and divine. We all have the shadow and the light. Not to say that all of the humanity part of us is shadow, but you know what I'm saying, right? The polarity, it exists within all of us. So it's something about you forgetting that that is actually a powerful thing, that this is your truth, that this is how you function, that that is something that is a strength, not a weakness, and that it's not bad, as long as it's wielded responsibly. Okay, 201. Let's see. Okay. Against nature. Willfulness to force or control. So it says, on some level, we all know when we're going against nature. We recognize it in feelings of impatience and agitation that arise when trying to force certain outcomes. This card arrives to remind the alchemist they cannot control the uncontrollable. Nature has its way, enveloping us in a wild narrative that we can collaborate in but not dictate. No matter our efforts to manage every aspect of our lives, the mess ensues. Spring is soggy. The lotus requires mud. People do what they do. This card heeds a warning not to fight the flow of Mother Nature, which is really what the Death card is about. Or of destiny, it says. Once we loosen the grip of what we think life should look like, a whole new realm of possibilities awakens. Now's the time to be radically open to what nature has in store for you. Oh, I love that. It says to ponder. What we resist persists. This card is about trying to force a square peg through a round hole, not accepting something for what it is, not going with the flow. And when there's a solution waiting for you to see it, but you need to shake things up, you need to take a break, you need to think about something differently, you need to maybe be less serious. But there's something where you are being willful or trying to force or control. And there's a part of you that knows that your true power is not in going against the flow, going against nature, going against your desire. You know, there's a part of you that knows that cautiously protecting yourself and believing that you can't, like that something bad will happen if you try to share the best of yourself with somebody else, right? Is when you have that desire, that is going against your very nature. That desire is at the heart of you for a reason. That's because it's something that you're meant to experience. And there's this part of you that knows that your power is in understanding how regenerative you truly are. And that it's very natural to go through cycles, right? Like death implies life, life implies death. Temperance and harmony in a way implies chaos, and light implies darkness. So it's okay to go with the flow because you're always going to be cycling through these things and just keeping them in balance the best you can. is life, pretty much. So this is something you've forgotten about yourself, but this is your power. And with Scorpionic energy, it's very much about intimacy. Vulnerability is Scorpio's superpower, because no one can go deeper or more courageously into those really dark, unknown waters, except for Pisces. Pisces and Scorpio, they can both go to these places, but they tend to visit them in a very different way and take different things often from those spaces. But for Scorpio, they're so intelligent, they're so insightful, and they're so alchemically like masterful as well when they get into their flow and really see their power. But that comes from, they have to go through, they have to remember their light, and then they have to also continue to fearlessly go to those unconscious places to do the shadow work, to be real with themselves. That's how they maintain balance. And when they come back, they can share those insights in a very like astute, intelligent, often very psychologically insightful, and powerful, inspiring kind of way. Like they can be, Scorpios, this energy can very much be leaders, because they'll go places where not many people can go. And then when they'll have these observations or these really deep emotional moments that resonate with them to such a degree that it creates this like a healthy Scorpio will have always something that they are very convicted about, like a hill on which they will die, you know? They feel and think strongly about things, and that's good. But not when you're applying that to like go against what is naturally guiding you. So there's something here that you've forgotten where your power truly is. It's not in trying to dictate and control everything, but it is in knowing that you hold this within yourself, and you can take that with you into the unknown and the darkness, the unconscious, and whatever you see there, when you come back, you'll balance yourself out again. You'll bring light or higher perspective insight to the shadow. And in this way, you alchemize and you integrate. So it's nothing to be afraid of, and you don't need to control it. In fact, it uses up precious energy trying to, because it's a natural cycle that you can just flow through and experience. And you'll always be guided. You'll never be misguided, but it's what you resist persists. It feels like you're being called to fulfill this very deep desire right now. But in order to do that, you're needing to be honest with yourself, cut to the truth about where you've been resisting something and what needs to change for you to open yourself up and move in a natural and authentic and convicted way towards this desire. If there's somewhere where you've been emotionally detached or emotionally very overwhelmed or hard on yourself, or you've been carrying very heavy emotions, like there's something that you need to release, maybe like resentment, or maybe very heavy grief or bitterness, fear, I don't know. There's something heavy that wants to be alchemized though. This part of you that you've been resisting will persist until you face it, because it is a part of you. It's in you. It's almost like you've been denying yourself this desire, even like telling yourself that it's something that you truly want. I feel like this has to do very much with something emotional for you guys. With this needing to see the King of Cups in reverse and the Ten of Cups clearly. It's like you have the ability to be this. This is Scorpio energy again. But there's a part of you that is doubting again, all the stuff we talked about before, about being able to be vulnerable, intimate, share that with somebody, not be judged, not be rejected, abandoned. I get it. True connection and intimacy and really building in that way with someone is scary. Yeah. You're stressed out about it, and it's bringing the shadow to your awareness, because I feel like the fulfillment of whatever this is quite close. It's something that you could make happen, but you're choosing not to right now, and it feels unnatural and painful. It's like you're using your power and your strength to deny something that you very much desire, but not just that, it's also part of your natural path and part of the way that like the energy wants to flow and you want to grow. And that's because it's a good thing and it's abundant. It's an answer to a desire that you have. So essentially it's a divine gift. But it's making you look at some sort of uncomfortable thing within yourself. I feel like it's an insecurity or a place where you feel very selfish. But you feel like you're selfish because you're insecure at times, like, or you're insecure about your selfishness. There's something about you might have Taurus in your chart too. It's like sometimes you take a long time to make decisions and you feel like your slow moving nature, maybe, like it feels like when you do move, it's very powerful, but you might really take your time, or you feel like it takes you time to integrate things and move and process through or grow the ways that you want to. I don't know. I'm getting the feeling you're like, I'm always gonna get there, but it's like you don't feel that other people understand your process. And there's something about darkness and fantasy, like about that process as well. There could be something sexual about it too, like maybe the way you manifest or alchemize, or just like part of your shadow is very, very sexual. So there's something here about you not feeling like other people will understand or accept that, or a partner won't be able to function with you in that way or complement that, or that something about the way you are will make your partner feel insecure. But it has to do with indecision. Indecision about, it's like when you don't know what is in the unknown, that's what it is. Okay. You're telling me that it takes you a very long time to go through this portal into the unknown, like to decide to take that leap because you don't know, like, especially with things that you can't control or you don't know, have all the details about it. So you don't know what's in this little dark box, right? So it feels in a way, because of your own fear, it feels against nature to jump into that, because this protective part of you is like, that's dangerous. You don't know what's in there. You can't control that. You better avoid that. But you throw yourself off balance resisting this because it is leaping into that and having that experience. That's the very thing that changes you in this super powerful way. It's very transformative. It shows you your own power. It makes you feel capable. You're connected to yourself. And then you come back inspired and convicted. You integrate, you balance things out, you tidy things up, and you share that. And it's super fucking powerful when you get to that place. So I don't think that you should repeat the past. I feel in the past you maybe waited on opportunities because you didn't have all the answers or something was unclear. It's like you stopped approaching things with an open curiosity. It's like, unless I know all the answers, I am not emotionally investing or something. Or unless someone proves to me that they are trustworthy and I see that for like a year straight or something like that, right? I'm just giving you examples. It's like, then I'm not going to be vulnerable with them, or I'm not going to trust them. But you're realizing now that insecurity and that withholding of self was keeping you back from experiencing the very thing that you want most. It was the resistance to intimacy and vulnerability, and that's been stopping you from having what you want most. Heaven on earth, basically, is what that's coming through as. It's a very real experience. It's not fantasy, but it's ecstasy at points. It is your perfect complementary sort of path, whatever that is, whether it involves another person or not. And there's a huge cycle that I feel like you're closing out right now in order to stop resisting something, because this feels very inevitable. It's natural. And fighting it, I think, is quite exhausting. It feels like it would be overwhelming, exhausting. Maybe that's what the feeling everything all at once is too. It's like there's beginning to be a buildup, because there's energy. The way I'm seeing it here is like I'm seeing energy. So this is the natural cycle, right? You can see this is like the light and this is like the dark, whatever. Two sides of the same sword. But it's like you're meant to constantly go through, like, down to the underworld. This is like Persephone kind of energy. Spend some time with Hades, back up to heaven. Spend some time with Hades, you know. It's a natural cycle. And so, but for some reason you stopped here, because this particular thing, it's like you can intuitively sense or feel where it's leading. And while it's leading to the fulfillment of your deepest desire, we talked already about how there's insecurities, fears, wounds, vulnerabilities, paranoias, and all that stuff that needs to be faced, right? So you stopped here. You stopped the natural flow because of those things. And now the energy is like kind of building up behind you. It wants very much to go this way. Like your soul wants to evolve in this way. And it can intuitively feel the resonance that it is meant to go with this flow. Now it's feeling like there's pressure building behind you because this natural flow of energy is building up. So that could feel quite uncomfortable. That could feel like everything all at once just kind of hitting you. And it's because I feel like there's been a stagnancy and a pause. And so now it's almost like the tower moment or a judgment moment is coming in, and everything's kind of striking you, and you're seeing it very clearly. Don't get me wrong, because you have this intelligent and clear mind. However, it is something that you've put off. And so it still feels like very intense. It feels like a lot. But that might be your preferred method of even doing things, you know. Not gonna lie, sometimes it's mine. And it's not always the healthiest, but that was when I was especially a little younger, I really approached things this way because I have a very intense energy. And I also have that kind of thing where it's like I definitely hold the whole spectrum within me. I'm definitely highly aware of all of it. I'm aware that sometimes, like, I always have, there's a method to my madness, but I'm also like, nobody would ever understand that. If they witnessed it, I'd probably look like an insane person because it is super intense. But it's like, I know how to balance that. I know myself. And yeah, it's intense, but yeah, that's who I am. And when I go against that, I go against my own nature. But the right person will understand this. And I mean, the more that you master this, though, and you'll stop hesitating and things will flow much more easily. Things won't feel like this. It's almost like a procrastination thing here that it felt like you didn't want to see all of this with clarity. You didn't want to look at the fear, the wounds, the vulnerability, like all that stuff, because it's just not fun, you know. It's kind of intimidating. So you're procrastinating here, not jumping through into the unknown. But yeah, there's now something pushing on you, and I think you feel that it's time. So what you've forgotten about yourself is that your true strength lies not in denying your desire, your truth, not through withholding the most beautiful parts of yourself and not sharing them, and not through resisting the natural flow and transformation, but through actually leaning into that and trusting that through being in that authentic expression of yourself, someone that can fuck with that and match your freak, will fucking find you and feel safe, you know, and you'll be able to integrate your life together as long as you're both showing up in that honest and tempered expression of yourself. But don't water that self down. Like, don't water down yourself, your truth, your process. Again, don't try to shove it down someone's throat or use it to control or dictate, because you can't, but be it clearly. Embody and express that clearly so that somebody else can witness all that you are, and they can decide how they're going to respond to that. Your inner critic doesn't get to tell you that this person's going to see all the terrible, judgmental, critical things that you see about you, because I can guarantee you that they don't. No one sees us the way that we see ourselves. We are the cruelest to ourselves. So, how to create inner safety and self-belonging. So this could be like a practice, a perspective, a support, or an energy that would help you soften and hold yourself through this, but also in a way that feels safe and somewhat structured. So how can you meet yourself with more compassion and grounded, practical care? Wow, okay, you have 3 major arcana so far. This is Piscean energy, the moon, with the sage. Wow, okay, it's really deep. I mentioned Pisces before too, that you are a very deep person. Life for you is very meaningful, and I feel like you take everything to a deep place. Like you're someone that could look at literally any small thing and go to a very deep and philosophical place with it, and go to a very dark place with it, but then also zoom out and see the higher perspective. Like there's something about you that's really spiritual and really intelligent, very powerful, and you're not afraid to explore the deep and intense places and the dark places. But I get this feeling that you've been misunderstood, or you're afraid of being misunderstood, or even, it's interesting, it's the fear of being seen and the fear of being misunderstood that are tied together here. It's kind of what I was saying before about Scorpio energy, like the being vulnerable. It's the deep desire to be intimate, to like, you know, basically allow yourself to be like consumed by your experience of somebody else, knowing that you're not going to lose yourself in them because of the intensity, because you know that you trust yourself and you can, you know, you're holding your own. So you're not going to consume or be consumed. But there's a fear there that if you show someone like all of your truth, right, they're not going to understand it, and that they might like judge or even validate some of these fears, wounds, or vulnerabilities that are a part of you, or judge them as unnatural because they don't understand. But that would be very hypocritical of any human, because we all have this. No matter how perfect or shiny or whatever somebody looks on the outside, every single human has this. And it's not meant to be eradicated. The ego is not meant to fully die. The shadow is not meant to be like swept out by the light. It's meant to be there. So how to create inner safety and self-belonging. Understand that there is nothing that your consciousness, your mind, your being cannot handle looking at. No matter how shadowy or scary or unknown or vulnerable or intimidating something seems, your very nature is this sage-like energy, and you keep yourself out in the cold. Like you prevent yourself from just joy and like wish fulfillment when you don't go with the flow, because you are a powerful and abundant and expansive person. But you are meant to be guided by your emotional, like your emotions are very much tied to your will. Again, there's that conviction energy. But to be convicted, it's telling me like your emotions or how you feel things. You feel your way through life. And that is what fuels your passion, your conviction. It shows you where to go. So I feel like here your passion led you in a direction that for some reason you stopped because you came up against fears. And it could be because you want this so bad, like because there's so much conviction, so much feeling of being pulled towards it that you're very aware that it's not something that you can control. Because of how you're experiencing it and feeling it. And that in itself might make you very uncomfortable. But all of this whole process is you facing deep insecurities, fears, and wounds, and not just making like sense of them in an analytical kind of way, but truly drawing like sage wisdom from this process. It is fucking like, it's beautiful. You've done so much work to know yourself here, truly. Like, I have so much respect for this. This is really stunning. I really hope that this is validating whatever self-doubt, criticism, or judgment is trying to talk over this inner truth right now, because this is incredibly powerful. And there's some sort of insecurity, about sharing it. It could be because you feel as though you have met something that is your match or your equal. But that means that, like, you can see that it is maybe, but then it's, for some reason, even though you know that you are also its equal, its confidence, its strength of character or intensity and conviction, it's almost like you see a lot of yourself in something else, and you have this awareness that it could handle your chaos, your darkness. It can see you in a way that makes you uncomfortable. It can match you, but because it can see you and it sees your power and it knows your potential, you also feel pressured by that, or you feel intimidated by that. Or you might even feel sometimes when you're in your ego, like in competition with that, or like you compare yourself maybe, but you're not meant to. You're meant to balance and support one another, because you still each have your own strengths and your own weaknesses, like every human, right? But it is coming through as though there's something that is a counterpart for you here, whether it's an experience, an opportunity, a relationship. The sage, though, I want to see if there's anything else that I didn't mention that might be significant that's in the book. So this says, the sage sits quietly by your side, reminding you to stay centered. His wisdom has come down through the ages, and his counsel is balanced and reliable. He has no material agenda, and unlike those priests who cloak themselves in worldly wealth, he requires no supplication, nor does he demand an adherence to a tablet of commandments. He sees no reason to regret or blame. Human kindness needs no stick or carrot. It simply requires us to understand that we are bound together in a single unity. See, you're not going to lose yourself in this because you're already a part of this and you see yourself in it. Maybe that is why there is such a fear of being like truly losing yourself to something, but you're going to balance in it because there really is no separation. The separation is an illusion. I don't know why I feel like pushing these together so they touch. I don't know why intuitively I feel it's like a closing of the cycle or like a connecting of the dots that's coming through here. I'm not sure what that is, but so you're bound together in a single unity anyways. You're already coexisting in a state of duality and like a dynamic sort of give and take tempered energy within a single unity anyways, right? So this is about grounding yourself and listening to your core's steady pulse. It says the sage is the soul of intelligence and insight, teaching us to trust our deeper intuitive sense and make right choices based on grounded consciousness. He reminds us that it's okay to pause when faced with a choice. When you don't have enough information to act, the not knowing is a place of poise that shows maturity, not weakness. Wisdom is hard fought for, and the sage did not come to his elevated awareness by accident. His path was long and lonely, and his journey required great discipline. But in time, it gifted him the powers of great compassion and empathy. He needs little and lives in meditative simplicity. This is giving me the hermit energy as well in the tower, or in the tower, in the tarot, and also like a shadow diver energy. It's kind of like I'm seeing your above the surface kind of journey in the hermit energy. And you balance that with this sort of scorpionic tower-like judgment sort of energy. It's very Martian and Plutonian. It's quite violent, but transformative. And sometimes transformation is violent, you know, like sometimes it is painful, it's violent. It has a certain like dark intensity to it, but it's not unnatural because of that. That exists everywhere in nature. Yeah. Well, there's something here where lean into this sage-like part of you, because I'm seeing that be very, very important. So lean into that hermit energy, but also don't be afraid of that, because it's a wisdom of its own. There's wisdom in the underworld just as much as there is in the heavens. So that's how you're meant to create inner safety and self-belonging at this time, and meet yourself with more compassion and grounded care. But I feel like it very much has to do with, again, like looking at things honestly, knowing your ability and your capacity to draw what you need from those experiences, those relationships, whatever it is. You have the intelligence and the deeper intuitive insight and the senses, the feeling. You can make the right choices. You have the grounded consciousness. You'll know what to do when you go through this and see what's on the other side of the portal, or when you start building with someone. In any given moment, you will know what aligns with your personal truth. You'll know what to do. Even though right now you don't have all the answers, that doesn't mean you're going to be in a state of chaos and thrown out of harmony and balance once you go through here. This is the natural way, but it is okay to pause. So that was Spirit very much validating that insecurity about taking your time to make choices is not, it's okay to take a moment to not act, but it's also important not to stagnate, because the not knowing is a jumping off point, and being able to understand that you don't know everything is great maturity, not weakness. That is humility, and that is what makes intelligent people intelligent, right? Because if you think you know everything, then that's the end. Then you don't seek. You stop seeking to learn. You stop being open to new wisdom. And there will always be new wisdom to come up from the depths, or to come up from like new wisdom hidden that we can unlock, essentially. It's everywhere. Once you're looking for it, it's beautiful. It's inspiring. And I feel like you are someone that has access to a very broad range of that. I really do feel like you're meant to share this in some sort of way, or you very much have the capacity to. And you could do that in different forms. Some of you might write, or like be sort of a scribe type, like preserver of this information, esoteric information, or like psychological information. But there's something quite deep and wise here that you contribute. So I think that if you're comfortable, then sharing some of this process would be super beneficial, even if it is just intimately with one person in a relationship. But you could totally be in more of a teacher role as well, if that's something that you're into, I feel like. The version of you who doesn't believe the lies. So this is like, what would your empowered, most self-trusting self say or do right now? This is kind of like your future self or your own inner mentor, the part of you that you are remembering you've always been and you are, that has all the answers. The part of you that has the higher vision of who you are before this critical, judgmental version of you came around to protect you after you were hurt or something like that. What would that part of you do or say right now? Oh my gosh. Do you have all major arcanas? Like, if this is another major arcana card, I'm gonna shit my pants. Not truly, but like, what the hell? This is super intense, whatever you're going through. The Emperor. I'm getting so much masculine energy here. And it's interesting because, I mean, these are very watery energies. This is Scorpio and Pisces, but it's coming through as masculine, like power and strength. Just assertive, like Martian, Plutonian, makes shit happen, like knows how to transform, knows how to alchemize, knows how to take action, be decisive, fucking do the damn thing, like go where it needs to go, understand what it needs to understand. What am I channeling? I'm channeling Mac Miller. Love you, Mac. There's a song where I think it's Cinderella, maybe. He says, you ain't gotta be old to be a man. So you might be quite young, or like relatively young, relative to what? I'm not entirely sure. I feel like you're an old soul. Yeah, the train just honked outside, or whatever trains do, blew its whistle outside. There's something where you have a lot of strength, power, passion, conviction. It's like raw masculine energy that's coming through, though. Even if you are female, it's about an archetype, or the yin and the yang. That could be why you're aware that it is hard for you sometimes to balance your energy, because this is a super strong force. It's a driving force, and it is hard to control sometimes. Like masculine and feminine energies can be hard to control for different reasons. But yeah, the Emperor does need to remain in dominion over himself in that internal state of harmony, and going with his own transformative flow in order to remain sovereign and fully embodied in that power. So this is your most empowered and self-trusting self. This is who you are. And the Emperor is here to remind you that you've got the power, and that you don't need to fear anything ultimately but the fear itself, because that is what stagnates you. The doubt is what stagnates you. And the curiosity and the acceptance and the courage is what cracks you open and expands you into a state of more awareness of your full capacity, more realization of higher wisdom, and understanding that there really is nothing to fear under the moon or in the shadows, that it is actually a part of your destiny, dare I say, to explore these parts and to express and embody them unapologetically, but in a powerful way, like in an empowered way, I should say, and to teach others to do the same, whether that is just by living like your life is your example or whatever. Okay, I want to read this darkening card. I don't know where it is in the book. Here it is. Okay, it says depth. Depth, readiness, and churning. Oh my gosh. Okay, listen to this, you guys. In alchemy, darkness is an achievement. It indicates the material has been through a significant occurrence, sometimes called an initiatory experience, literally you on the standing on the precipice of going through this portal is the initiation experience that you go through time and time again. It's like the cord being cut as you are born, right? Coming from death to life, coming from the underworld back up, coming from your darkness back into this more transcendent space to integrate the higher understanding and knowledge. Wow, this is so on point. So yeah, it says you are in a state of readiness for the work that you're about to do. The darkness prepares us. We've moved beyond the small talk and chit chat of the upper world and descended into the psychic layers of the soul. We admit who we are fully and bravely, and thus open ourselves to the process of transformation. When this card appears, it's not necessary to delve into what brought you here. The initiation likely happened by fire and caused the embers to char. But rather, it's time to heal, and darkness is the remedy. Closing your eyes is a voluntary expression of darkening. By practicing it daily, we drop into the depths and surrender. As the alchemist's eye adjusts, transformation begins. The wisdom of dusk, it says to ponder. So, okay. So it also says this card is linked to mortification and to Pluto, Plutonian energy. There's something about your darkness that wants to be expressed in a natural way right now. And to be, it's like this part of yourself that is very wise, but also very like empowered and embodied, not afraid, taking action in dominion over their life, building their legacy. They want you to know that this is necessary. Not only is it not something to judge or try to get rid of, but it is like absolutely necessary for this power to exist, that you embrace that part of yourself, that you not fear expressing it and showing it to others, that it's not your dirty little secret, but that you truly embrace it. And let others embrace it, I'm hearing. But you're ready for something. You're ready. This part of you is saying you're ready to jump through this. You're ready to go through this initiatory experience. And it is initiation by fire. Some things will be burned away. But that in itself is a healing process that you're meant to experience right now. So that's extremely powerful. It doesn't believe the lies and the self-doubt. The emperor, you can't tell the emperor nothing. Nuh-uh, can't tell him nothing. You know, like this bitch knows what's up in his own realm. He runs this town. You know, you don't tell him shit about him. But he's not a dick. He is not a dick. He is not like a rude ass ruler that needs to like, he's not a dictator. He's not going to force the sword down your throat, right? His truth, his way. That's not power. But allowing this transformation to constantly take place, bearing witness to it all, integrating the wisdom, being humble, and still showing up and asserting yourself from that place of genuine conviction from the heart and soul. Yeah, that will get you everywhere. Like that will literally get you everywhere. Super powerful. So lastly, where are you being invited to soften or surrender? And this is the part of you that's ready to lay down the fight and trust the unfolding of your petals, because there's something that wants to be penetrated. It wants to bloom. It wants to open up. It's very energetic. It's also very sensual. There's a lot of energy, like a lot of life force here. But it is ultimately about intimacy, right? Disarming yourself so that you can transform because you're ready. So this is what will gently open the door to allow you to offer yourself the grace needed, and maybe to remember that healing isn't about perfection, it's about presence. And presence is power. especially acceptance in that presence, no matter where, like what part of the realm you're in. That's true wisdom, balance, power, like that is everything. So where are you being invited to soften or surrender? What part of you? The sustainer and the siren in reverse with the Knight of Wands. Okay. This is definitely a part of you, though, that has so much energy and desire, but you deny it. It's like you might actually paint it as like evil, dangerous. Yeah. Your fear of what you desire most and how powerfully you are pulled in its direction it terrifies you sometimes. I'm channeling that Edgar Allan Poe quote. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but he says something like, sometimes I'm terrified of my heart. The way it stops and starts, it's violent. Something about its violent, like, pulls back and forth. And it's reminding me of this intensity that you have. You're telling me that that is a big part of who you are. And that something about that is, but like letting yourself be led by that in a healthy way towards your desire scares you somehow. There's something about that it frightens you. So I don't know if in the past, maybe before this was more developed or you had gained this discernment and balance, if maybe you did kind of go towards something that was that you desired, but it was like from an unhealthy place. So you may have desired this from out of a wound, maybe even a mother wound of some sort. So you could have actually desired or been drawn towards or in a relationship with someone who was very controlling, very maybe even manipulative to be controlling, very stifling, and almost guilted you for your independent, free nature. Because you're very wise, but you're also very like wild. You cannot be tamed fully. You cannot be controlled. You can be in sovereign dominion over yourself. But even that, it's like there's a part of you that just knows that your power is truly in surrendering to this process that you are pulled through by your own conviction and feeling, and to truly trust that is what puts you in this place. Like these balance one another out. There's something about you denying your desires, though, and not moving towards them with the full force that you feel it, not letting yourself just be pulled to it in a natural way, the way that feels most natural when you are not stifling yourself. But some of you, yeah, I feel that there's like a mother wound, and it was perpetuated in the relationships with the people that you went after, in the sense that you were drawn to you had unhealthy desire, essentially. It was drawing you to something quite toxic that was mirroring a wound. And again, I think it was like keeping you small. So you may have had a mother that was quite like, didn't really have healthy boundaries with you, was very demanding, put a lot of, like, wasn't necessarily emotionally appropriate with you. Like put a lot of emotion on you or shared a lot of emotion with you in an unhealthy way, taught you that intimacy is like having no boundaries and possessing and like being very controlling or over, I don't know. But I feel like something here taught you not to trust what you feel naturally pulled towards. Oh, I just opened this and it went right to the mother. Bro. There's a wound surrounding the feminine here, because you are very much, you're showing me your masculine energy incredibly strong. And this masculine energy will always be pulled to its counterpart in a super powerful way. But it needs to trust, the masculine has to trust their knowing and their desire. Because the suits that are masculine is fire and air, right? So fire is your spirit, your passion, your desire, your will. And then air is your knowing, your expression, your intelligence, your wisdom. So you have to trust both of those things for your masculine energy to be healthy. And there's something here about there being a wound that caused you to be pulled towards unhealthy desires. And they exhausted you. They were controlling. They were limiting. They dimmed you. They took, it has taken away from your natural expression. And you had to reclaim yourself. You had to stand up to something. And I'm hearing that song like, you can go your own way, go your own way. Yeah, see, I feel like, and this has been kind of a lonely journey for you. You may feel like you have burned a lot of bridges to follow this conviction. And it's like, I don't feel like you have a lot of regret surrounding that, but there is something that you want to go towards now that you are hesitant about for some reason. And you feel super, there's a fear or a woundedness, and it's surrounding not trusting your desire, or your masculine not trusting the call of a certain feminine type of energy, which is the unhealthy, imbalanced feminine. Hold on, I just want to read you the traits of that, the feminine energy showing up in a toxic way. Just let me look it up on my laptop quickly. I have a picture of this, but I think that this might be helpful for you to hear for some reason. Okay, I'll read you the wounded masculine and the mature masculine, as well as the wounded and mature elements of the feminine as well. Okay, so the wounded masculine is dominating, aggressive, competitive, inflexible, cold, disconnected, unemotional, fear-driven, defensive, and selfish. And the mature masculine is present, focused, confident, non-judgmental, logical, accountable, committed, protective, supportive, and encouraging. The wounded feminine is self-doubt, dependence, a suppressed voice, overgiving, lack of boundaries, approval seeking, disconnected intuition, perfectionism, suppressed emotions, and fear of conflict. And then the mature feminine is self-assured, self-love, empowered voice, healthy boundaries, confidence, trusting intuition, self-compassion, authenticity, vulnerability, and balance. So I feel that you maybe had a mother that embodied some of those wounded feminine traits. And specifically, I'm getting a deep, like, lack of fulfillment and self-doubt. And so there was like a codependency with you, I feel. And it caused your own voice and expression to be suppressed, because she was putting so much of herself on you, and she may still do this, but there was a lack of boundaries there. And I think that it may have taught you how to seek approval or be sort of people-pleasing as well. And so maybe then you showed up in things and you stayed longer than you should have, even though, like, doubting yourself, even though you knew that certain things weren't healthy. It's like it still mirrored back to you that mother wound, or what your mother sort of taught you, like relationships with feminine energies are. And so from that point, it created a lack of of trust in those decisions to move towards things that you feel naturally pulled towards, because at that point, it was your wound that was naturally pulling you. And that was for a reason, though. It was so that you could see it and heal it and empower it, which you have done. And that means that you're no longer pulled to the unhealthy or wounded feminine. You will be naturally now drawn towards mature feminine energy, because you have healed that wound. You are in a tempered and balanced and healthy or mature or mastered state over yourself, right? And so you don't have to doubt what you are in alignment with, because the things that come to you, or the things that you feel drawn to, are the things that align with you. That's the natural way, that's physics. Like, that is how things work. We align with things that are a frequency match to us. So you right now are not being pulled towards this anymore. You are being pulled towards this, and you should trust it. because there's nothing dark about this either, but that could be something about, you know, sort of what you're questioning at this time too, is you could see someone or be pulled to someone that does have somewhat of an authentic and unapologetic expression of their shadow, but like their feminine shadow. So sort of like Lilith energy. They could be quite provocative. They could be quite sensual. They could have a clear truth, lots of conviction and intense expression in their own way, and that mirrored back at you, them in their power and in their shadow, in that way could also be part of what intimidates you. But you're being called into this, and this balances you. It teaches you a lot. You teach it a lot. I want to see though what the siren and the sustainer say here, just in case I miss something. But yeah, that's where what you're being asked to soften to. There's, again, though, through this whole reading, there's this vibe of like deep desire, passion, conviction, and pull, and it is fiery fucking energy. It's your soul, your will, pulling you towards something that you are meant to experience and enjoy and just soak up in this life. It's for you, and you're ready for it. Is it going to be work? Yeah, it's going to be challenge, but not like... It's going to be work, but it doesn't need to feel like work. There's going to be things that need to be done, effort that needs to be put in. But once you open yourself up to flowing naturally with something, it will be tempered. Even if you both have incredibly strong and intense energies, right? Like the fire and water, or the elements that this angel is pouring back and forth. You're still the Two of Cups. You're still equals. You're still able to exchange energy in that intimate way without losing yourself. And it's because you're both fully embodied in that unapologetic way, because you know yourselves fully. That's why you don't lose yourself. Even while you yourself are going through these dramatic transformations and you're having this really intimate experience with somebody else, you won't lose yourself here, which is just absolutely fucking gorgeous. Okay. The siren. It's crazy that I opened to the mother though, dude. That's wild. Okay, the siren. The temptress, the seducer, the femme fatale. So when light, this is awakened sensuality, absorption, and arousal. And when dark, it is wickedness, adultery, wreckage, betrayal, and insatiability. So it's desire that you can't trust, basically, when it's in its dark. The siren calls and the world spins. What we thought we wanted pales in comparison to the sweet allure of her song. We find ourselves lost in a spell of desire and longing, perhaps even lust. Whether the thing calling to us is ultimately good or bad is somewhat irrelevant. It's the journey that matters. And the work of the siren is to take us on a deep psychic descent. Following her song, we go down, down, down to a place where lessons are learned and courage must be rallied to find our way back to dry land. Try as we might, resisting the call may not even be an option, unless, like Odysseus, we bind our hands to the mast of our ship. It's likely, though, that falling for her call is the only way we will come to live more fully on the surface. I'm obsessed with that. And it says, embodying the siren archetype requires that we explore things that are taboo. The siren laughs at conventions and constraints. She eats rules. So there's something here that is kind of, it feels very tempting. And it's like you are not sure if you trust it for that reason, because again, there is desire, longing, lust. Everything else is pale in comparison to the allure of something here. But that doesn't mean that it's bad. And there's something also about, again, the unique and embodied and very like powerful expression of this energy that is intimidating to you. There's something where this energy, this could be a feminine energy that is not afraid to break the rules, not afraid to talk about things that are taboo, that other people would be shocked by or that other people would shy away from, not afraid to go to those places, to break out of convention and constraints, to be a bit of a rebel, to be in the darkness and the light in their full truth and expression and embodiment, essentially, and not feel shame or guilt about that, and not doubt or criticize themselves in that. And in being in that, they are calling you into that within yourself. And that is ultimately what your critic is trying to protect you from, because that is what feels really scary right now. But the only reason it feels scary is because that is your fucking destiny. That is you opening yourself up to your power, the fullness of your power, embodying it. And it's not that you need this external thing to get you there, but it's that this thing is kind of naturally complementing you and helping you actually move there. So as much as you are resisting it, you're resisting it because of your own fear, not because this thing is bad or it's not helping you. It's creating a desire that's helping to guide you in the direction you were always meant to go, because that's where your personal power is. It's teaching you that embodying this element of yourself, it does not make you less lovable. It does not make you too chaotic to be intimate with someone, to be seen and witnessed by someone and loved fully. It does not make you unnatural or bad or unlovable in any way. It's showing you that power of that element that you could integrate in yourself and that you are meant to integrate into yourself. Let's see what the sustainer says to close things off, and then I'm going to let you go. This reading was a little bit longer than I planned it to be. Let's see, 109. All right. The sustainer. Okay, it says the peacemaker, the upholder, the preserver. These feel like very different energies to me. One is not bad and one is not good, and they can coexist, but like these two might be this other person's like light and a dark side, you know? The femme fatale, the nymph, the underworld. And then it's like Eve and Lilith, Eve and Lilith together. And this would be like Adam and Hades, you know? So it says the sustainer, the second archetype in the trio of existence, works behind the scenes, tending to the tasks of life. They cultivate gardens, pay bills, keep the meals warm, and the mouths sweetly fed. The sustainer is at peace in the process of life, knowing there's no start or finish to humble yet meaningful tasks. That very much reminds me of that. They have a natural inclination to nourish others, to archive, to preserve Earth's resources, to consider environmental impact, to see their role in the divine cycle of life. It's common for the sustainer to become overworked, leading to resentment. Their tasks aren't glamorous, and therefore the sustainer rarely receives the credit or attention that they long. That's the end of the sentence. They rarely receive credit or attention. The sustainer longs to hold things in place so badly, especially relationships, that they resist necessary change. Take time with this archetype. It's within us all and needs our love. So when in its light expression, it's abundant, generous, supportive, and reliable. But when dark, it's overworked, resentful, trapped, and tired. And, suffocating. It resists necessary change. And it doubts that. So then it like overgives. This is why for the feminine, this shadow element is necessary, right? Because you cannot always be this. You have to have the ego, the shadow, the Lilith to say, hey, this is where my boundary is, so that you don't get taken advantage of. So this is healthy, very healthy again. But because of a wounded experience with this, and again, I feel like it was the mother. I don't know. There may have been like an illusion surrounding what truly sustains you, what truly makes you feel powerful, what you truly should be sustaining and tending to in your life. And also there's a difference between maintenance and sustaining something. Maintaining and sustaining. So there's something about meditating on the difference between those two. Let me see if there's anything else that wants to come through with the tarot, but that's what I'm seeing for you. This is pretty powerful, my friends. Kind of love this. I'm not gonna lie. I really, really love these energies. God damn. All right, is there anything else that my beautiful collective needs to know? Let me see is there something that I need to ask? It feels like you are asking yourself one particular question and you're doubting the answer that you already have. I'm getting that intuitively. I don't know what that question is, but I'm going to ask them to give you the answer to it. And this should be validating something that deep down you intuitively know. You know this already, okay? This is just like, it might be still an unconscious part of you or a largely unconscious part of you that knows this. But you do have this wisdom within you and you sense it and feel it, I think. Okay, so let's see. Let's get 3 cards. So what is the answer to the question that my collective has so much doubt surrounding? I feel like having this information validated will help you move through this portal. I'm not sure why I'm getting that. But let's see, 3 cards. What do they need to know? What is the answer to the question that they are asking? The Star, the 3 of Swords in reverse, and the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Okay. There is something that absolutely can heal and will heal. It is healing currently. It's currently already in the process of healing, or it already has, perhaps. There's something that has dropped. You've dropped it, and it's an old way of looking at pain. It's an old way of looking at pain. For some reason, I don't know if this Knight of Pentacles in reverse is you, though. I want to double check that. Is this my collective? No, I didn't think so. Justice in reverse. This is someone that either did an injustice to you or you were involved in an injustice with this person. Whether it was one person making that happen or not, like whether it was both of you in a situation that just, like, it was no one's fault, quote unquote, but it's just like it ended in a shitty way. It ended feeling like, well, that was not fair. That was not balanced. That's not what either of us wanted, or else you actually did an injustice against someone or they against you. But there's still some sort of conflict and chaos here that's still at play about an opportunity that is perceived as being lost or not possible. This could also, I'm not sure, like, okay, what do you want them to know about this person that is not them here? This could be the siren energy. There's something about them not moving right now, not taking physical action towards you specifically. I think that they have healed and they see something. They see a past wound, a past pain from this injustice. They have done this healing that you're doing now, and they've done that healing. They're not in that pain. The pain that you are coming out of right now and getting clarity on and overcoming, integrating and turning into power, they've done this already. Because they're sitting here looking and they already have this perspective that you don't quite have yet, but you're going to have it. See how she's looking into this almost? Both, like, all your energies are looking where you're supposed to go. And this person's like, I know where you're supposed to go. And when you go there, this healing is happening naturally and you'll gain this perspective, this sage wisdom surrounding some sort of pain and injustice. It's like you won't be carrying that heavy weight surrounding this experience anymore. You'll integrate it. You'll understand the meaning of it. You'll be able to forgive yourself or another for it. There's something about that. Is there anything else about the answer here that they need to hear? No, they're saying that that's what you needed to get you out of your head, to give you the go-ahead to do whatever it is you need to do. But I feel like this person, there's something about them feeling very drained physically as well right now. They're making some moves in their life, and it's moves that you don't see. They might also be doing something that has to do with a mother or family here, like breaking away and going their own way, or standing up for themselves, setting a healthy boundary, making some important life choice that very much is like from a sovereign and empowered place. And it's what they want. But it's kind of coming through as it's taking a lot of energy for them to do this. So that's also part of the reason they're not moving, but they're not, I feel, coming towards you, not because they're still stuck in heavy feelings of resentment about whatever this pain is. Like, they have worked through the pain, and that doesn't mean the pain doesn't exist anymore for them. It means that the way that they're perceiving it is healthy because they've healed, they've integrated it. So they might still feel pain sometimes. They might still feel regret or whatever, sadness, but they've forgiven and released any weight. It's not holding them back. That's not what's preventing them from taking action towards you in some way. It's like they're watching you heal and they're waiting for you to choose some sort of natural transformation. They know that it's going to put you in your power. There can be reconciliation and celebration here, but there's something about you needing to assert yourself to fight for that. And again, if that's not your answer that is being validated, like your deep inner sage-like higher wisdom knowing, if you don't already know this on some level, then it's not a message for you, so don't take it, because I'm not convincing anyone of this. But the intention was to give you the answer to the question that you need validation to give you the go-ahead from your higher self or whatever spiritual guidance is coming through here. So that is what I see, okay, my loves? For whoever needed to hear it. That might have just been an extra thing that I felt compelled to do at the end for like 1 or 2 people that needed that, but take it if it is for you, okay? Mwah. Fucking love ya guts. I love ya guts, okay? Times a billion, times infinity. So go and do this because this is sexy. I mean, you're already sexy, but like this is fucking the epitome of sexy and ultra like embodiment, expression. Like this is just like just being in this energy and living your life out loud in this way will turn so many people on. Not physically and sexually necessarily, I mean that too, but like you will inspire so many fucking people. You are meant to do this. There's something about this being your destiny to be this bold, this unapologetic, but again, not an asshole, just in your truth. Talk it like you walk it, walk it, walk it like you talk it. I don't know, it's something like that. And there's something about like your style. It's like no one can do this exactly like you, but you've got to do it right. You've got to show up correct for yourself here. From that place, you will also be able to show up for someone else if you do decide to be witnessed in that way and enriched in that way. Okay? I love you. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Mwah. Bye.